Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes. Welcome back to another card making video here on my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be doing some ink blending, but not how I traditionally do it. I'm going to be using some Distress Oxide sprays, blending those together for an ocean scene, as well as some blending with different colors of Copic markers. I'm going to start out today's card using these Slimline Scalloped Dainty Edge dies from Trinity Stamps to create a frame for my card. So I'm using the two largest dies together. It's going to give me that open scallop around the outside and the inside of this frame. I think it's so pretty and lots of fun for your maybe floral cards or just really pretty cards, but you can also use it on other things like this mermaid under the sea themed card. I'm using a new pickup tool from Trinity Stamps. I'm loving that. I'll be using it again later in this video. Brand new, just came out. I put the frame in my box that I like to use for collecting spray, and I sprayed it with Salty Ocean. Now I'm spraying a little bit of the chipped Sapphire, and then this green here is actually a different brand of spray that's like a lime color, and I just wanted to overlap those a little bit so they could blend in different areas. And I decided to go back in with some more Salty Ocean. I wanted to be able to see some of the droplets of the spray on this frame. So there's the frame, and you can see where the colors meet and blend with each other. So now I'm going to do this again, but on my background that's going to go behind the frame. So first I started with the Chip Sapphire. You can see there it's pretty saturated at the bottom, but not in the middle. And then I'll add my Salty Ocean overlapping that Chip Sapphire, and again with my Electric Lime, and you can see the three colors are going to overlap and then blend together. I'm going to also splatter these with the end of the nozzle. I did need to pick up a little excess of that Electric Lime. It was kind of puddling up, and then go ahead and splatter that again. And I did splatter it using all three of those colors, and I just love adding splatter, especially to an ocean or a sky. It gives it some depth and dimension, and this one turned out so good. For even more splatter, depth, and dimension, I spritzed it with my Distress sprayer that is filled with water. I did that 2 times to really pick up and lighten some areas and oxidize that Oxide spray. And there's even more splatter. Yeah, we're not even close to done. This is my perfect pearls. I just mixed in a little bit of water, and then I'm going to splatter on some shimmer. This is going to be really subtle, the kind of splatter that you're going to see when you turn it in the light. Isn't that fun? Not too overbearing. Now I have some white acrylic paint. I'm putting all this on a piece of acetate or window sheet, mixing it with some water, and then using a scraggly brush to flick that off the side, and it's going to give me smaller droplets of splatter, which I love. I decided to go ahead and add some of that white to the outer frame, which it takes kind of a lot because you're trying to hit a very small area. So there's not too much on it, but I did like having that little bit of extra detail on it. So there's both of the pieces. I'm going to set those aside to dry, and now we're going to do some stamping. I'm using the Hugs and Fishes stamp set from the Not Too Shabby shop, as well as the Be Mermazing stamp set. These both came out in the June box of the month. These stamp sets are still available, sold individually, so I'll have the Not Too Shabby shop linked for you below so you can check that out. There's also a brand new box about to come out. I've had a little sneak peek, and it's adorable. So if you're into getting like box of the month type things, the one from Not Too Shabby is definitely worth it. So now I'm doing some ink blending with my Copic markers, blending the blue and the green together. So I started green on one end of her tail and blue on the other end, and they're going to overlap in the middle and kind of give me a teal color. I had a lot of fun doing this technique in the first video I did for Not Too Shabby with these same exact stamped images, but I used a pink and a blue and a purple, and it turned out so yummy. I really wanted to try it with these blues and greens, which is my other kind of favorite go-to color for a mermaid. You know, mermaid tails I think are traditionally green, so just adding that touch of the blue there I thought would be really fun. I'm going to color all my images out this way. Some of them will actually be all green or all blue, but most of them, or a lot of them, are going to have this kind of color blending like I did here. And I wanted to make a card that I want to call it monochromatic, even though it has more than one color. All of the things on this card are these colors. And I thought it just had kind of a fun look to it, but also it can be a little busy. So I would love to know what you think of the look I went for on today's card. Now I'm going to show you the coloring of the narwhal because he's about the cutest thing I have seen. He is so darling. I think it's his little closed eyes with the eyelashes. I don't know. I love him so much. So you can see here, I put my darkest blue and my darkest green right there on where his tail swoops down, where his body meets his tail. And that's where the colors are going to blend together. And then I'm going to have the lightest blue on his head and the lightest green at the tip of his tail. So I just have to go back and forth between the two blues to really get that blend, that kind of turquoisey color. And when it dries back, it definitely looks like more blended. So I love it. I think it's really cute. I left his horn white. I'm going to add to that way later in this video. But here, I love this image right here, this coral. Both times I colored it in my previous video, which I'll link right up here in the upper right corner. So if you missed that one, you can check it out. I used hair gel in those cards. This image was just so fun for me to color. I love it. So I thought I would show you this one here, and I don't know, that blends really well. I love just the hint of blue at the tips of those coral reef. Coral reef? It's just coral. Yeah. All right. And then these fabulous seahorse. I love them. Their manes are just so, they look like they're flowy. They kind of look fierce, don't they? Yeah. So I'm going to do the same blending where the green will run into the blue and make kind of a teal color. And you can see all the images there that I've already colored out. The jellyfish looking amazing. Yeah, just some really fun images, and they're all so cute. It's really hard to kind of pick which ones you want to use and which ones you don't. So I stamped out almost all of the images for my card, and I'm going to use them. I'm going to put some of them on the inside and most of them on the outside. So now it's time to add the white gel pen highlights. Now for my underwater images, I really like to add a lot of white highlights, lines, and especially a lot of little dots. It looks like bubbles. I just think that it really adds to the fun feel of the underwater scene. So I'm doing that on all of these images, and it really makes me happy to do this. It just brings them to life, and I like that. There we go. Look how cute. There's all of them, all done, all gel penned up. And now it's time to cut these out. So I used my Scan and Cut mat with my Cameo Silhouette to cut these out. And now we're ready to make a card. So we're going to put these together. I thought I was going to make a vertical card. It just wasn't working, so I decided to go with a horizontal card. Now, my ink blending kind of lends itself to horizontal, or to vertical, but in this case, it just seemed to work better this way. I'm using this frost ink, metallic frost ink from scrapbook.com to add in some bubbles. It was so light and so subtle. I actually decided to come in with a much darker color, which is the Chip Sapphire Distress Oxide pad, and stamp those again. So you can see them if you're holding the card. You can kind of see them when you turn them in the light, kind of like the Perfect Pearls, but I really wanted to be able to see those bubbles, so I stamped them in the darker color. Next, I'm adding some foam strips to my frame, but I'm not making a shaker. I just wanted that dimension of that frame being raised up. And then I'm going to glue down these 3 focal images onto my card so that they fit inside that frame, and I'll just kind of reference back to the frame a few times to make sure I've got everything fitting in there how I want it. And look at those seahorse. Aren't they cute how their noses touch? It's so sweet. It's hard to make use just one of the seahorse. It's hard to do that and not put them together because they're so sweet. You can see I made one with a blue body and one with a green body. I thought that was really fun. So now I'm just removing that backing to the adhesive foam strips and sticking my frame down to my ink blended panel. And then it's time to add in all the other things. I laid them out how I wanted them, and now I'm just gluing them into place and just kind of arranging them, which is why I like to use liquid glue in case I want to scoot it around a little bit to really get good placement. And some things I'm tucking under others, so liquid glue is like the perfect thing here. I didn't feel like I needed any more dimension on any of these images because the frame is already raised up. So you can see there, it's quite a full and busy card, but these colors are so fun. So I really like it. I think it's just a pretty look, but not too feminine. It has a little bit more of a masculine feel to it. Very nice. All right, so now to help those images on the front stand up, I'm bringing in some glaze to coat them, all of them. And it really helps them to look shiny and wet, maybe like they're under the sea. So I only did those pieces that were on the frame and not like the narwhal and mermaid and stuff. I felt like it was just too much. But I do actually use the glaze on the narwhal's horn, and I liked that. So that's what I'm doing here, just adding dots to the top of the jellyfish because there's already a lot of like circles there. And then on this fish, I'm just doing lines like there are on the tail. Then I added in some more bubbles with the glaze because I like my background to just be really full and exciting. Next, I'm bringing in the sentiment that says hugs and fishes. I'm going to stamp that out with Starlight ink from Altenew and just have a little scrap piece here that I'm stamping that on. I thought I was going to maybe use it as a banner and put it there at the top of the card, but I wasn't liking it. So then I thought, okay, now I'm going to just bubble cut it myself. It's a pretty small image. It should go really fast. And then I can stick that at the top of the card. But I just didn't like the placement of the sentiment there. It just seemed too small and off by itself that way. So I put a little bit of twisted Citron ink on the edge. I didn't even ink up my dauber. It still had plenty of ink on it, and I thought to make it have those two colors would be really fun. Then I just popped it up there on top of those seahorse, and I thought it looked great. Next, I am bringing in some new embellishments from Trinity Stamps. These are gems. Sparkling Sapphire. Isn't that awesome? This is Aquamarine Ripple. I'm going to have them linked for you below because it didn't quite focus on the words there. So I'll link those for you below. They have a rainbow of colors and I am obsessed with them. I keep using them on every card I make since I got them. So I'll link them so you can check them out. And there you can see I'm using the new pickup tool from Trinity. It has that waxy pointed end that you can use for picking up your gems, which has always been tricky for me, and this tool works really well. I'm really happy with it, and it's making me like adding gems to my cards a little bit more because it's a little easier to do. So I put a few actually on the scene itself, and most of them end up on the frame. But you know, you never use the biggest of the gems on your card. Well, with that frame being raised up, I felt I could use the bigger gems on that background. So I did one in each color of those biggest gems on that background. So I felt happy that I used the big ones. There is my card. I look at that background. I love all the texture in it and the dimension, and I just feel like this card's so bubbly. So I loved making it. On the inside of the card, I'm going to add my leftover pieces. I have 4 things, so I just decided I would put one in each corner. There's even a puffer fish. We have a little puffer fish humor at my house a lot because my daughter was actually bit by a puffer fish once in Hawaii. So we kind of have, we laugh about them. Her fingernail even turned purple from it. So she was like 3.5 years old when it happened. So she was feeding a pufferfish in a little lagoon, and it thought her finger looked better than the snack. Well, that's all for me today. I thank you so much for stopping by, and I will see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!